Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fantasy Football Universe. I am Aaron St. Denis. You can find me on Twitter at FFMadScientist. He is Jeremy Shulman. You can find him at FF_Rebel. Your Twitter handle trips me out all the time because when I look for you, I search Rebel. So I always go to say at Rebel FF and I get your Twitter backwards because I've done this 9 million times and still can't get your name right. Anyways, welcome into the 2024 rookie sneak peek of Florida State tight end Jaheim Bell. We're on a bit of a tight end run here after seems like 7 or 8 running backs in a row. We finally got some of those. Now we're on the second tier of tight ends, and nice little run here. This one was written by Jeremy. If you want the full write-up of Jaheim Bell or any of the other, I think it's 100 offensive players and 50 IDP, head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com. We've got them all, deeper than pretty much any site you're going to find. I don't know too many who are a month into rookies and are down to Jaheim Bell already. We're turning them out at a pretty good clip between the 4 of us. Jaheim Bell, a tight end out of Valdosta, Georgia. At Valdosta High, Bell played tight end and wide receiver, recording more than 1,000 total yards before tearing his ACL in his senior season. Originally committing to Florida, he opted out instead, beginning his career at South Carolina. At the University of South Carolina, Bell appeared in just 5 games as a freshman before breaking out as a sophomore, though not a true breakout. Bell finished the year with 500 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns on 30 targets. Not a huge breakout. Okay, I have one question for you because I don't remember that year entirely.
Yep.
Is that as a receiver or a tight end in that rookie year? Do you remember the freshman year? Do you remember?
Yeah, I didn't see his usage as a receiver on the tape, but I didn't go back that far in the tape either.
Yeah, no.
He's listed as a tight end, so I'm just going to assume he was the tight end there as well.
Yeah, and that's what I was assuming too, but that's a solid breakout for a tight end. I know for a receiver it's not, but anyway, sorry. As a junior, Bell was used sparingly as a receiver, but the Gamecocks utilized his girth in different ways as a running back. He filled in for the injured Marshawn Lloyd for the final month of the 2022 season. That's pretty damn versatile. Finishing the season with 73 carries and 3 rushing TDs to go along with his modest receiving totals. He transferred to Florida for 2023. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as planned. He posted career highs in receptions and yardage. He was 3rd behind Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. And Johnny Wilson is huge and pretty much a tight end himself. So, I'm not sure what jumped out for you. Like his versatility for me is awesome. I know, like we said, it wasn't great production, but for a tight end, that's not bad. But a guy who's played tight end, wide receiver, running back, that's awesome. And I know he's not huge for a tight end, 6'1", 244, 22 years old, a junior. But what really stood out here for you? Because this guy was really versatile for me.
Yeah, it's really his athleticism. I mean, the problem he's going to face, and we'll get into it later, is he's really a tweener in terms of his size. He's not really big enough to be a tight end at the next level, and he's certainly too big to be a wide receiver. So he might be more of a special package type of guy. That said, his athleticism jumps off the page. He's got a quick burst, so there's plenty to like athletically. It's just a matter of where he's going to fit.
I agree 100%. As I said, he's not big, but he's a little undersized. He's pretty meaty, just lacks a little bit of height for a tight end. The scouting report here, the strengths: good with the ball in his hands in the screen game or as a runner, good acceleration and quickness, solid contested catch ability, fluid in his body control and route running, adjusts well to the ball in the air, has the speed to burn linebackers and safeties. For me, he seemed like he's good all around. I don't know if he has the elite upside. For me, he's solidly in the second tier. I think he's behind Sinat and Stover, but I like him. I don't know. Obviously, he's not Bowers or anything like that, but what stood out here for you as the main strength for him?
Yeah, he's a really good receiver. Like we mentioned already, he's used as a wide receiver in high school. He's a capable pass catcher and has been a good tight end in college. It's really just the fact that he's got great hands and that athleticism. In the screen game, he's looked great. So, I really like the way that he was utilized as a pass catcher, and you would hope that the team that drafts him does the same and sees him more as that, because trying to put him in line is probably going to lead to trouble.
Yeah. Some of the weaknesses, inline blocking will be an issue given his size, obviously. Will struggle to fit in a typical mold because of his size, so we'll need to see a team to set him up for success. Not quick enough in his breaks to create separation, used often in the backfield, and was a poor lead blocker. A lot of this comes down to size.
Yeah.
That the weakness here for you? Size?
Yeah, size is the obvious one, and the biggest one. But I think the one I'll talk about is his route running is not good enough. You look at someone like Ben Sinnott, who's
Yeah.
absolutely cooking
Yeah.
top tier collegiate safeties at the Senior Bowl, and then you look at Jaheim Bell, and for as good of a receiver as he is, he's not creating that separation and needs to rely on contested catches, which, to be honest, he's not great at either. And
Yeah.
again, that comes down to his 6'1" size. So it's gonna be something where I think he's gonna have to be utilized in sub packages. He's really gonna have to work on his route running in order to stick, and you're just gonna hope that he can pack on even more size and become a decent blocker.
That's what scares me here. Okay, so I was saying in our last video for Sanat, everyone laughed at me in the mock draft and said, "Congratulations, you drafted a fullback." I think Jaheim Bell might be a fullback. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
is his. He has some pass catching. I see him out there as the big fullback, Mike Allstott type, where he's gonna be a goal line package and rush right up the line, but he can also break outside and gonna catch those little screen passes when you're not looking for him. But I think he profiles best as a fullback because I don't know, he's probably too small to be a tight end. He's not going to be out there blocking. Like, I get he's not huge, but as far as running backs go, he's a big dude. So I think he makes a good fullback with some versatility should he be used in the pass catching game. I see him as a, inside the 20s kind of guy.
yeah.
Short space, or like short area, goal line package. He comes in, he's going to line up behind Christian McCaffrey or whatever, or in front of, and just be the bull. I don't know if this seems like a Kyle Juszczyk type, where this is going to be great. His teammates are going to love him. CMC is going to love playing behind him. I just don't know if he's ever going to be useful for you in fantasy. That's not saying like I don't think he's a bad player in any way. I don't necessarily know if his skill set is going to lend itself to fantasy relevance.
Yeah, the only problem I have with calling him a fullback, and I think you're 98% right. The only issue is he can't block, right? Like the blocking is really poor when he's out in front, when he's, because he's been lined up plenty of times in the backfield when Florida State was trying to utilize him that way, and he's just got to get better.
Yeah, yeah, that's a problem. You're right, but I see him cutting and like just like I said, leading McCaffrey into the end zone, which you don't get fantasy points for. But it's like I said, this is a good looking player. It's just I'm not sure the route to him accumulating fantasy points. I'm not sure what that path is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's. I said this with Blake Corum, even though he was higher end. What he did to accumulate what would be fantasy points in college, I don't know if that's his skill set that's going to work in the NFL. He was primarily a goal line back, like a short yardage back, has a ton of touchdowns in Michigan. I don't think he's big enough to do that in the NFL and not break down. So just because it worked in college doesn't mean it's going to work in the NFL. And I'm having a hard time, despite how much I liked Bell and his versatility that really stood out. I find it hard to find the one thing he does well enough or really well that's going to lead to fantasy points. We'll scroll down here. You have him middle of day 3 here, round 5-6 to the Eagles. I could see that. I had him going in the same range. What did I say? I had him New England. This seems like a New England type tight end where they don't really know what their role is. They use him in the end zone area. Like I said, that's under the Belichick era. I get it's going to be completely different this year, but it past usage like a Jonnu Smith type. I don't know. Well, what do you think here with middle of the day 3 to the Eagles?
Well, Kellen Moore is the new OC, right? So it'll be really interesting to see him try to kind of
That's good.
utilize.
Yeah, we discussed that on the last one. That's good.
And mix and match his pieces here. And this is one of those chess pieces. It's what I wrote up in the bottom there is he's one of those chess pieces where you're going to put him in sub packages and you're going to figure out exactly how you can use him in certain situations to gain the advantage. And whether you're going to put him in the backfield, like we said, look, the tush push is we've all been talking about how it's going to be banned, right? That will slightly hurt Jalen hurts his fantasy value. But we know he's big enough to do it. The problem is that's worked a ton of times at the goal line. And when you have a defense who's in their goal line package with all their big beefy guys up front, that's really where the lack of a legal tush push is going to hurt Philly. They're going to need to figure out something else to do on the goal line. So if they have a guy like this who's versatile, they can split out, they can put in the backfield, he can fight for jump balls, and he can try to block.
They don't have that kind of player. Like Kenneth Gainwell isn't that kind of player. He's not a goal line back. DeAndre Swift, we've seen he gets goal line carries. He's going to be on the IR in a heartbeat. Boston Scott's getting up there. I don't even know if Boston Scott makes the, is he on the roster this year? I don't know. So this seems, like I said, I know he doesn't profile as a fullback because he can't block very well, but if he could ever learn, this would be a great situation to be a fullback and kind of be their answer to if the tush push gets banned. So I can totally see that there. Philly's a good fit. All right. Well, like I said, if you want to see Jeremy's write-up of this one, Jaheim Bell, or any of the other prospects, head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com or check back tomorrow for the next video in our series. This concludes the 2024 rookie sneak peek of Florida State tight end Jaheim Bell. For Aaron and Jeremy, thank you for tuning in to the Fantasy Football Universe. We'll see you tomorrow.